For those of you who have been paying attention, my last few videos have been created in a new space. Towards the end of last year, we sold our home and purchased a bigger one. This has allowed me to once again get a dedicated space for work, content creation, and a photography studio. This small space measures about 9 by 14 feet, and I've carefully considered the placement of all items to maximize the space for all my needs. When coming into a new space, it's very important to make it your own. Customizing your space will allow you to be more productive, but it will also get your creative juices flowing and inspire you to create content. And this is what the space does for me. By most metrics, this is a very small space, but I'm not allowing it to hold me back. Here are some photo shoots I did in this space, and here are some of the pictures that I was able to create in this space. There are some improvements I'm looking to make to this space. For example, the floor is entirely carpet, which means that every time I do a photo shoot, I need to build out a hard floor surface in order to have my models stand on it and not sink into the ground. As I continue to evolve the space, I'll take you along on that journey. Starting off with the desk itself, this is the Tamron desk from IKEA. It is a sit-stand desk, but unlike the desk that you'll find in most other setups, this one isn't motorized. I purchased it at the height of the supply shortages back in 2020, so this was the only one available. With that said, it has worked very well for me and I haven't seen the need to replace it yet, but I will do so in the future. More important than the desk is the chair that you sit in. This right here is a Technion Nuova Contessa chair. It is the same chair that I've had from the previous setup, and what I love most about this chair is that the seating and back support are made out of mesh. While most chairs have a cushion for seating, I find that those chairs apply a lot of pressure to my tailbone, which makes it very uncomfortable to sit for long periods of time. Because the chair is made out of mesh, there is less pressure applied on my tailbone, allowing me to sit in this chair for endless hours. It has all the adjustability of an expensive office chair, but the one downside is it doesn't have a headrest. I am 6 feet in height, and so getting towards the end of the day when I want to rest my head and get some neck support, this chair doesn't have it. To the right of my desk is an Alex drawer unit from IKEA. In there I have a bunch of charging cables, office supplies, hard drives, batteries, and a bunch of miscellaneous items. To the top of the unit sits my base model 2020 MacBook Pro with the M1 chip. Like most individuals, I had a pretty powerful desktop computer, which I still use to this day. However, when I upgraded to this M1 MacBook Pro, it took my productivity to the next level. The M1 chip was a game changer as it allowed me to edit 4K video and photos from anywhere without breaking a sweat and maintaining great battery life. I am not as mobile as I used to be, so this laptop does not get much use, but I still keep it for when I travel. Behind the MacBook, I've got a 3rd gen Amazon Echo Dot that controls the Govee light behind it and notifies me when I've gotten packages from Amazon. On the wall, I've got a pegboard from IKEA. On this pegboard, I've got some playing cards, a stressed ball animal, my Sony A7 IVs, some whiteboard markers, a Bluetooth speaker, and a Zoom H1. I have a second pegboard in white where I keep camera triggers, flashes, and a backup keyboard for work. Starting on the right side on my desk is a light from IKEA which has a wireless charger built into it. I also have a plant from IKEA that sits on top of the wireless charger when I'm not using it. To the left is a Thunderbolt dock from Lenovo. It is meant to connect my work laptop and it gives me additional I/O for easy access instead of having to plug my devices directly to the laptop. When it comes to keyboards, I'm a bit weird. The reason I have 2 keyboards is because one controls my Windows computer while the other controls my Mac. Yes, the keyboards are able to connect to multiple devices, but because I do a lot of multitasking, I am more efficient working with 2 separate keyboards and mice instead of having to consistently switch the input device. Both the keyboards are the Logitech K380s. They are identical in all ways except the color, and the gray one has markings for Windows functionality, so you can easily switch between a Windows and a Mac computer. Just as I have 2 keyboards, I also have 2 mice. Like every other tech YouTuber on the planet, the mice are the MX Master mice from Logitech, and I like them because they're the only mice that I've used that don't cause hand cramping during long photo editing sessions. While the MacBook Pro that I talked about earlier was a game changer for content creation, I did occasionally run into RAM issues when dealing with large Photoshop files and large video projects. This is why when Apple announced the Mac Studio, I immediately bought one which solved a lot of my problems and has been my primary computer to date. This computer is a base model Mac Studio with the M1 Max chip, a 24-core GPU, and 32 gigs of RAM. It is the best desktop for content creation, and I've made a video all about it that you can watch in the link below. Next on the Mac Studio is my first generation AMD Ryzen desktop. While the internals are outdated, they are still very powerful, and I still use this computer for day-to-day stuff, administrative work, as well as for software that can only be found on Windows. I've got two monitors mounted in a vertical orientation. Prior to this setup, I used to have both monitors side by side, but I did not feel like I was being very productive, so I recently mounted the Dell monitor to the top. Both of these displays are an extremely important part of my content creation because of the color accuracy. The bottom monitor is a PD3420 from BenQ. It's a 2K monitor. It has a Delta E average of less than 2, which simply means that it's extremely color accurate, and it covers 100% of the sRGB and 98% of the P3 color spaces, which is identical to the color reproduction of the Apple Studio display. The top monitor is a Dell UltraSharp 2720Q. It's a 4K monitor and it covers 100% of the sRGB and 90% of the P3 color space, and both of these monitors display 10-bit color. While both of these monitors are color accurate out of the box, I have gone ahead and color calibrated them even further using a spider calibration tool. This is how I'm able to ensure the colors that I see on the monitor are the same as when they are viewed on other devices. If you find your pictures are looking off when you view them on other devices such as your phone, TV, or tablet, there's a high likelihood that the problem is your monitor and calibration. You might be wondering why you don't see any sort of studio monitors or speakers on my desk, and that's because I've taken an unconventional route. While I'm not an audiophile, I do appreciate good sound quality, which is why I'm using a Sony soundbar and subwoofer combo. Because the soundbar takes up a lot of space, I've decided to mount it underneath my desk in a holder for cable management. The wireless subwoofer is located behind me to create an immersive sound. One of the biggest challenges I had in this very small space was to be able to use it for an office, but as well as a photo studio. I used to use my garage as my photo studio in the past, but because I live in Canada and we have long winters, it was very difficult to keep my models warm during photo shoots. One easy way to save on space was, instead of placing my backdrop on stands, as you would typically do in a studio, I mounted the backdrop holders to the wall. Not only does it keep the area clutter-free, but it's also something that I can leave up permanently, and it saves me time when I want to set up the space to take photos. To my right are custom map posters that I ordered from Etsy and placed in an IKEA frame. The quality of the posters are very good, and normally I would link the seller below, but in this case I had very terrible customer service, as well as it took over a month for me to get the posters, so I'd recommend you look elsewhere. Sitting on top of my BenQ monitor is the Anker C200 webcam. By day, I work in the financial field, which means I'm in virtual meetings all of the time, and if there's something I've gotten a lot of compliments about, it's my video quality. Now, I can attribute it to two things: the lighting as well as that webcam. That webcam can be found for about $50 on Amazon, but don't let that price fool you. While it may seem very affordable, it punches way above its price range. It's got a large 2K sensor and a bright f2.0 aperture, which means it can let in a lot of light. As well as it's got a 90-degree field of view, which means it's extremely wide, and that can be adjusted in software. It's got other great features like autofocus, as well as a privacy shade. If you're in the market for webcams, I'd recommend you not look at the Logitech 4K webcams, but look at this one instead. You'd save a lot of money, as well as get very similar image quality and features. And no, this is not sponsored by Anker. Moving on. The last item that I want to go over is the shelving unit from IKEA. In there, I keep all of my cameras. This consists of my Fuji GFX, Sony A7 IV, Nikon Z5, and Fuji X-T3. Keen-eyed individuals would notice that I no longer have a Canon camera. In my Canon RP video, I stated that I'd probably never sell the camera, but I never anticipated Canon blocking third-party vendors from making compatible RF lenses. Because I'm a pro hobbyist, meaning photography is only a side hustle and not my primary source of income, I am someone who relies heavily on third-party lenses to save on cost. While Canon reserves the right to make business moves that are in their financial best interest, I refuse to continue to support a company that does not cater to individuals like myself. Because I shoot mostly indoors in a controlled environment, the Fuji GFX is my primary photo camera, and the Sony A7 IV acts as a backup camera and what I use for video. The microphone is called the Uhuru UM900. It is a USB condenser microphone, and for something that is so affordable, it has really good sound quality. I've used it for a year, including this video, and it has dramatically improved my audio. In order to get that great sound, you do have to have an editing program like Audacity, but because it records at such a high quality rate, you can easily achieve great sound. While this may look like a premium setup, know that I did not buy all of this gear in one shot. All of this gear has been amassed over a period of 7 years, so if you're starting your own setup, take your time, build it piece by piece, and don't go into depth trying to make yourself look like everyone else. For those of you who stuck around to the very end, I want to thank you for your support. I do want to let you know that it takes a lot of effort to make these types of videos, so if you could leave a like at the bottom, that would be very encouraging, as well as a subscribe if you're new to this channel. I also want to mention that we're on our way to 1,000 subscribers, and once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll be doing a giveaway with one of the items found in this video. Again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.